Welcome to the Oddcast, the podcast that delves into the world's most enduring enigmas. Today, we're heading to the windswept, heather-covered landscape of West Yorkshire, England, to a place called Ilkley Moor. Known for its haunting beauty, ancient legends, and folk songs, Ilkley Moor became the unlikely backdrop for one of the UK's most compelling and controversial alleged alien encounters. This is the story of the Ilkley Moor UFO incident of 1987. An encounter that left behind a photograph, a missing gap in time, and a lifetime of questions. It was the early morning of December 1st, 1987. A former police officer, known publicly only as Philip Spencer, a pseudonym still used to protect his identity, was walking across Ilkley Moor, heading toward his father-in-law's house in East Moreton. He carried a camera in his pocket and a compass in his hand, planning to take photos of the misty moorland as the sun rose. Spencer wasn't a believer in aliens or UFOs. In fact, as a former police constable, he was known to be level-headed, logical, and skeptical of anything unprovable. That would soon change. As he trekked through the quiet, early morning fog, he claimed to have seen a small, humanoid figure about 4 feet tall, standing on the path ahead. According to Spencer, the being had a greenish-grey complexion, long arms, an oversized head, and a strange, shuffling gait. Surprised, Spencer instinctively raised his camera and snapped a single photograph. At that moment, the figure seemed to motion toward him, as if warning him not to approach. Then, it disappeared over a small hill. Spencer ran after it, but when he crested the rise, the figure was gone. In its place, in the sky above the moor, Spencer claimed he saw a dome-shaped craft silently lifting into the sky before vanishing at an impossible speed. If that had been the end of it, it might be written off as a strange but forgettable experience. But that wasn't the end, because when Spencer checked his watch, something was wrong. He'd left home just before 7 a.m. The walk to East Moreton should have taken him less than an hour, but when he finally reached the village, he discovered it was nearly 10 a.m. He'd lost almost 2 hours. Disturbed and confused, Spencer developed the photograph. The result was a blurry, grainy image of what appeared to be a small figure on a misty hillside, just as he had described. It wasn't conclusive. Some said it looked like a small alien, others said it looked like someone in a costume, or even just a smudge. But the timing, the photo, and Spencer's shaken state were enough to draw attention. He eventually made contact with UFO researchers and later underwent regressive hypnosis, hoping to recover the lost time. What came out of those sessions was deeply unsettling. Under hypnosis, Spencer recalled being taken aboard the craft he'd seen. He described being subjected to a medical examination by several of the beings, short, hairless, with long arms and slit-like mouths. He remembered being shown images on a screen, images of war, environmental destruction, and suffering. He claimed the beings communicated with him telepathically, warning of Earth's future if humanity did not change its ways. And then, he remembered being returned to the moor. The hypnotic account paralleled other alleged abduction narratives of the era, including medical procedures, warnings of ecological doom, and telepathic contact. But critics were quick to point out that hypnotic regression is not considered reliable evidence, and can easily produce false memories, especially when guided by expectation or suggestion. Now, let's look at the physical evidence, the photograph. The photo itself was analysed by experts, including photographic technicians and image analysts. Their conclusions were cautious. The photo had not been tampered with, but it was of low quality and ambiguous. The figure could not be definitively identified. There were no clear facial features, no verifiable details, just a small figure in motion. Some said it resembled a child in a snowsuit. Others suggested it could be a cardboard cutout, or even a small statue. There was no landing trace on the moor, no radar evidence of unusual aerial activity, no other witnesses. Yet, and this is what makes the Ilkley Moor incident persist in the public imagination, Philip Spencer never changed his story. He never sought publicity, never attempted to sell his photograph, and remained reluctant to speak to the press. Those who met him described him as sincere, if shaken. To this day, he maintains the experience was real. So what are we left with? A photograph, a missing 2 hours, a man forever changed. Skeptics argue this was a case of mistaken identity, perhaps even a hoax, a person in costume, a trick of the light, or an overactive imagination compounded by suggestion during hypnosis. They point out that Ilkley Moor is a place rich in folklore and isolated enough to stir the mind into seeing things that aren't there. Believers, however, point to the consistency of Spencer's account, his background in law enforcement, and the striking similarity to other alien abduction stories from around the world, despite Spencer having no known prior interest in the subject. Then there's the photo. It isn't proof, far from it, but it's something, a moment, frozen in time, an image that might be nothing or might be the only physical evidence of a real, forgotten encounter. The Ilkley Moor UFO incident remains unsolved, a case perched delicately between credibility and mystery. For some, it's a chilling example of alien contact on the British Isles. For others, it's just another tale blurred by fog, both literal and psychological. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. On that quiet December morning in 1987, something strange happened on Ilkley Moor. And whether it came from the stars or from the depths of the human mind, we may never know for sure. Until next time, stay curious.